The holographic display flickered with a cascade of complex quantum equations, each mathematical symbol a testament to years of relentless research. Dr. Elena Rodriguez stood absolutely still, her dark eyes reflecting the intricate light show that represented her life's work. Around her, the circular amphitheater of the Galactic Collaborative Research Network's main conference hall was packed with representatives from over 30 different sentient species. The Zornak delegation occupied the most prominent position, towering crystalline beings whose very anatomy suggested technological superiority. Their multifaceted exoskeletons shifted with barely concealed contempt as Elena began her presentation. To her left, her parents watched with a mixture of hope and trepidation. Dr. Maria Rodriguez, once a brilliant xenobiological researcher, and Dr. Carlos Rodriguez, a theoretical physicist who had been systematically discredited by the galactic scientific community, represented humanity's most painful scientific legacy. Quantum entanglement is not just a method of data transmission, Elena began, her voice steady despite the hostile environment. It's a fundamental gateway to understanding space-time manipulation that every current model has fundamentally misunderstood. A low rumble of derision swept through the alien audience. The Zornak research director, Krelax, a massive being, standing nearly 3 meters tall, his crystalline body refracting light in sharp, aggressive patterns, leaned forward. His translator implant crackled with barely contained mockery. Another human delusion. Krelax's translated voice boomed through the conference hall. Your species has been granted access to this network as a courtesy, not as a serious scientific contributor. These equations are nothing more than mathematical fantasy. Elena's hands resting on the holographic control panel didn't shake. She had anticipated this response. Years of preparation, of being systematically marginalized, had tempered her resolve into something far stronger than mere academic ambition. This was personal. Her presentation continued, diving deep into a revolutionary approach to quantum mechanics that challenged everything the galactic scientific community believed about interstellar travel. Each slide revealed a layer of theoretical work that was simultaneously brilliant and seemingly impossible. The mathematics suggested a method of creating quantum corridors that could traverse thousands of light years in milliseconds, a concept that made current faster-than-light travel look like primitive horse-drawn transportation. In the audience, most species displayed varying degrees of dismissal. The silicon-based Kronar delegation clicked their crystalline appendages in open derision. The gaseous nebula collective's energy forms swirled with what could only be described as bureaucratic disdain. Only a handful of younger researchers from less established civilizations seemed to lean forward with genuine interest. Your theory contradicts 17 established galactic scientific protocols, interrupted Dr. Varnak, a senior researcher from the Andromeda Collaborative. The quantum instability alone would what? Elena interrupted, a dangerous edge cutting through her professional demeanor. Destroy matter? Create catastrophic energy displacements? I've already run over 10,000 simulation models that demonstrate not just feasibility, but a completely new understanding of quantum mechanics. Her parents exchanged a knowing glance. They recognized that tone, the same defiant spirit that had cost them their own scientific careers. Carlos Rodriguez's fingers unconsciously traced the scar on his left hand, a reminder of the last time he had challenged the scientific establishment. Krelax rose to his full height, his crystalline body casting prismatic shadows across the conference hall. This presentation is over. Dr. Rodriguez, your research proposal is denied. Furthermore, your continued access to the Galactic Research Network will be revoked. The declaration was met with approving murmurs from most of the alien delegates. But Elena wasn't finished. She knew this moment would define not just her career, but potentially humanity's entire scientific standing in the galactic community. I will prove my theory, she declared, her voice cutting through the hall's ambient noise. Whether you support me or not, humanity will revolutionize interstellar travel, and when that happens, everyone in this room will remember this moment. The silence that followed was absolute. Some saw it as the desperate proclamation of a defeated scientist. Others, those who understood the true nature of human determination, recognized it as something far more dangerous, a promise. As the conference hall began to empty, Elena's parents approached her. Maria Rodriguez placed a hand on her daughter's shoulder, her eyes filled with a mixture of pride and concern. "Are you ready for what comes next?" she asked quietly. Elena's smile was razor-sharp. "I was born ready." The abandoned space station hung like a forgotten wound in the darkness of the Orion Arm's peripheral regions. Once a cutting-edge research platform owned by a defunct mining consortium, it now served as the last refuge for scientific outcasts. Intricate heat dissipation panels were patched with mismatched alloys, and communication arrays bristled with jury-rigged modifications that would make any standard engineering team weep. Inside the main research hub, Miguel Rodriguez moved with the fluid grace of someone who understood machines better than most humans understood each other. Elena's younger brother was a quantum mechanics prodigy who had been expelled from 3 different research institutions, not for lack of brilliance, but for an inability to tolerate institutional stupidity. "We've got exactly 72 hours before they track us," he announced, fingers dancing across a holographic interface cobbled together from at least 3 different technological generations. His neural interface, a sleek silvery implant that curved along the base of his skull, flickered with cascading data streams. Seated nearby, Dr. Arya Chen, a former AI specialist exiled for her controversial consciousness research, didn't even look up from her work. Her workspace was a controlled chaos of quantum circuit boards, quantum entanglement generators, and components that looked like they'd been salvaged from a dozen different star systems. "Tracking is the least of our problems," she muttered. A holographic display beside her showed multiple incoming communication signals, some official, some decidedly less so. The corporate mercenaries are one thing, but the government black ops teams, they're another level entirely. The third member of their underground team was perhaps the most unusual. Commander Zarak, a discharged Centaurian military engineer, adjusted her complex prosthetic neural interface. Unlike human augmentations, Centaurian tech integrated biological and mechanical systems in ways that made most other species uncomfortable. Her forearms moved with practiced precision, each manipulating a different component of their quantum prototype. Elena entered the main research hub, carrying a case that looked unremarkable but was worth more than most planets' entire research budgets. "I've got the final quantum substrate," she announced. "Smuggled it out right under the Galactic Research Network's sensors." Miguel looked up, a dangerous glint in his eyes. "They'll be hunting us now. Not just professionally, literally hunting us." The prototype they were building was more than just a research project. It was an act of scientific rebellion. Their quantum entanglement device promised to do something that every established civilization had declared impossible: create stable quantum corridors that could traverse thousands of light years in milliseconds. Zarak's translator implant clicked softly as she spoke. "The risk calculation is beyond standard parameters. Detection probability is irrelevant," Elena cut her off. "We're past the point of calculated risks. This is about proving something fundamental about human potential." Arya Chen finally looked up, her augmented eyes, partially biological, partially quantum computational, scanning the prototype. "The quantum substrate you've brought. It's not just rare, it's different. Almost like it was designed to interact with human quantum signatures in a way we don't yet understand." Miguel's neural interface began to pulse with increasing intensity. "There's something strange happening in the quantum harmonics. The substrate is responding to something. Emotional states, maybe?" The implications were staggering. Most galactic civilizations viewed quantum mechanics as a purely mathematical discipline. Humans were suggesting something radical, that consciousness itself might be a fundamental quantum mechanical property. Suddenly, alarms blared. Multiple incoming signatures, too precise to be random, too coordinated to be anything but a targeted strike. "We've been found," Zarak announced, her forearms already moving to defensive positions. Elena's smile was nothing short of predatory. "No, they've found us. There's a difference." The next few hours would determine not just their survival, but potentially the entire future of human scientific understanding. Corporate mercenaries, government black ops teams, and who knew what other forces were converging on their location. But in this moment, surrounded by the most advanced and dangerous research humanity had ever conceived, they were ready. More than ready, they were inevitable. The prototype pulsed with an unnatural light, quantum circuits weaving impossible geometries that seemed to exist between reality and imagination. Miguel Rodriguez's hands moved with surgical precision, his neural interface casting ghostly blue shadows across his face. Blood trickled from his left nostril, a side effect of the extreme quantum stress they were about to unleash. Structural integrity at 62%, Zarek announced, her four-armed form moving between multiple monitoring stations. The Centaurian's prosthetic neural interface sparked intermittently, pushing technological limitations to their absolute breaking point. We are operating well beyond any known safety protocols. Arya Chen's augmented eyes flickered, processing data streams that would have overwhelmed a standard computational system. The quantum substrate is responding in ways we've never seen, she muttered, more to herself than to the team. It's not just reacting to our measurements, it's anticipating them. Elena stood at the central control hub, her fingers hovering over a series of quantum entanglement triggers. Years of research, decades of family scientific legacy, and humanity's potential for galactic recognition balanced on the edge of this moment. The abandoned space station groaned around them, living testament to forgotten scientific ambitions. External sensors showed multiple incoming signals. Corporate mercenaries, government strike teams, and rival scientific delegations were converging on their location. They had minutes, perhaps less, before everything would be destroyed. Final. Calibration sequence initiating, Miguel announced, his voice tight with a mixture of excitement and terror. The quantum prototype was unlike anything ever conceived in galactic scientific history. Where traditional quantum entanglement devices merely transmitted information, this device promised to create stable quantum corridors, pathways that could traverse thousands of light years in milliseconds. A violent tremor rocked the station. External alarms screamed their warning. "Incoming!" Zarek shouted. Her forearms moved with superhuman speed, rerouting power, stabilizing systems that were moments away from catastrophic failure. Miguel's neural interface began to overload. Blood now streamed from both nostrils, his body experiencing quantum stresses that no human had ever survived. "Something's wrong," he gasped. "The substrate, it's not just responding, it's alive." Elena recognized the signs immediately. This was more than a technological breakthrough. They were touching something fundamental, a quantum mechanical property that challenged everything known about consciousness, space, and matter. The quantum substrate began to pulse with an inner light that defied physical laws. Quantum circuits formed impossible geometric patterns, creating mathematical structures that seemed to exist between dimensions. Arya's augmented eyes widened in total disbelief. "It's responding to emotional states," she whispered. "The quantum tunneling effect is being directly influenced by human consciousness." Explosions rocked the outer hull of the space station. The first wave of corporate mercenaries had arrived. Miguel screamed, part pain, part revelation. The quantum substrate responded to his emotional state, creating quantum fluctuations that should have been impossible. Circuits that were designed to transmit information were now generating entire dimensional pathways. We're not just creating a transportation method, Elena realized, her voice cutting through the chaos. We're discovering a fundamental property of human consciousness. Zarek's translation implant crackled. "Detection imminent. We have less than 3 minutes before complete system failure." The quantum prototype pulsed with an inner light that seemed to breathe, expanding and contracting like a living organism. Miguel's neural interface reached critical overload. For a moment, reality itself seemed to warp around them. A massive explosion ripped through the station's outer hull. Atmospheric containment fields flickered. "Quantum jump sequence!" Elena shouted. "Initiate emergency protocol." The world dissolved into pure quantum potential. When consciousness returned, nothing would be the same. Outside the station, corporate mercenary ships converged on the rapidly disintegrating research platform. They were moments too late. Something extraordinary had just happened, something unprecedented. Humanity had just changed everything. The holographic display flickered with a constellation of interconnected data points, each representing a thread. In a massive galactic conspiracy that had remained hidden for centuries, Elena Rodriguez leaned back in her makeshift command center, a reinforced module hidden within the hollowed-out core of an abandoned mining asteroid. "It goes deeper than we ever imagined," she muttered, tracing the connections with her fingertips. Aria. Chen's augmented eyes parsed the information. Quantum computational systems working faster than any standard biological or artificial intelligence. The Interstellar Transportation Consortium has been suppressing breakthrough technologies for over 2 centuries. Not just human innovations, technologies from at least 17 different species. The evidence was damning. Detailed financial records, hidden communication logs, and suppressed research documents painted a picture of systematic technological oppression. The major transportation corporations weren't just maintaining a monopoly. They were actively preventing any technological advancement that could disrupt their stranglehold on interstellar travel. Miguel Rodriguez worked furiously at a secondary console, his neural interface casting blue-white light across his increasingly pale face. "They've got agents everywhere. Government research councils, academic institutions, even supposedly independent scientific bodies." A new holographic window materialized, showing a complex network of corporate and political connections. The Quantum Suppression Protocol, a hidden directive that had been systematically burying any research that threatened the established interstellar transportation model. Zarak, the Centaurian military engineer, moved her 4 arms across multiple communication interceptors. "Incoming. Encrypted transmissions," she announced. "Multiple high-priority threat assessments being distributed across corporate and government networks." The implications were staggering. Their quantum breakthrough wasn't just a scientific discovery. It was an existential threat to an entire galactic economic and political system. "They're tracking us," Miguel said, his voice tight. A series of quantum-encrypted assassination contracts were being distributed through hidden communication channels. Corporate mercenary groups, government black ops teams, even independent contractor networks. Elena's parents had warned her about this. Dr. Maria Rodriguez, once a brilliant xenobiological researcher, had been systematically discredited decades ago when her research threatened established scientific paradigms. Dr. Carlos Rodriguez had suffered similar persecution, his groundbreaking work buried and his reputation destroyed. "They can't just make us disappear," Elena declared, a dangerous edge in her voice. "Not this time." Arya began constructing a series of quantum-encrypted communication barriers. "I'm routing our communications through quantum entanglement channels. They won't be able to track our standard communication methods." A series of explosions rocked the outer perimeter of their hidden asteroid base. The first wave of attackers had arrived. "They found us faster than expected," Zarak announced, her prosthetic neural interface already calculating defensive strategies. Multiple incoming signatures, corporate mercenary dropships, specialized containment units. Miguel's hands flew across the console. "I'm triggering the quantum displacement protocols. They won't be able to get a clean fix on our location." The conspiracy they'd uncovered went far beyond simple corporate malfeasance. The Interstellar Transportation Consortium had been systematically suppressing technologies that could democratize space travel. Faster, more efficient transportation methods would destroy trillion-credit transportation monopolies that had existed for generations. "Look at this," Arya said, highlighting a series of suppressed research documents. "They've been sitting on transportation technologies that could have connected isolated civilizations decades ago. Entire species left in technological darkness to maintain a profit structure." Another explosion. Closer this time. Elena's eyes hardened. "We're not just fighting for our research anymore. We're fighting for every species that's been held back by these corporate parasites." The asteroid base's defensive systems came online. Quantum-encrypted shield generators, adaptive camouflage systems, quantum tunneling escape routes. Every tool they had developed was now being put to the ultimate test. "Incoming transmission," Zarek announced. Priority 1, Galactic Collaborative Research Network. The holographic display flickered. A familiar crystalline form materialized. Krelax, the Zornak research director who had dismissed Elena's initial research. Dr. Rodriguez. His translated voice crackled. You have something that does not belong to you. Elena's smile was nothing short of predatory. No, she responded. I have something that belongs to everyone. The first wave of attackers breached the outer defensive perimeter. The real battle was about to begin. The quantum prototype hummed with an energy that defied conventional physics. Stored within a reinforced chamber designed to contain forces that could potentially rip apart the fabric of space-time, it represented humanity's most audacious scientific leap. 30 seconds to quantum jump sequence, Miguel Rodriguez announced, his neural interface casting ghostly blue diagnostics across the reinforced command module. Blood vessels in his temples had begun to pulse visibly, a side effect of the quantum stress his body was experiencing. Zarek moved her forearms across multiple holographic interfaces, her Centaurian prosthetics working with inhuman precision. Quantum substrate stability at 78.3%, she reported. Structural integrity holding, but we're operating far beyond any established safety parameters. Elena Rodriguez stood at the central control hub, her entire body thrumming with a combination of scientific anticipation and pure raw determination, years of research, decades of family scientific legacy, and humanity's potential for galactic recognition balanced on the razor's edge of this moment. Outside their hidden asteroid base, the sounds of battle continued. Corporate mercenary ships and government strike teams were systematically destroying everything in their search for the research team. Their defenses wouldn't hold much longer. Arya Chen's augmented eyes flickered, processing data streams that would have overwhelmed any standard computational system. The quantum substrate is showing unprecedented quantum coherence, she muttered. It's not just responding to our measurements, it's anticipating them. The prototype was more than just a transportation device. It was a fundamental reimagining of how matter, consciousness, and space-time could interact. Final system check, Elena commanded. Miguel's hands flew across the quantum control interfaces, quantum entanglement generators at maximum capacity, dimensional stabilization protocols engaged. A massive explosion rocked the outer defensive perimeter. They were running out of time. Incoming, Zarek shouted. Her threat detection systems were picking up multiple high-priority assault vectors. We have less than 2 minutes before complete system compromise. The quantum prototype began to pulse with an inner light that seemed to breathe, expanding and contracting like a living organism. Quantum circuits formed impossible geometric patterns, creating mathematical structures that seemed to exist between dimensions. Something's different, Miguel gasped. Blood now trickled from his nose, a testament to the quantum stresses his body was experiencing. The substrate, it's responding to our emotional states. Elena recognized the phenomenon immediately. This was more than a technological breakthrough. They were touching something fundamental, a quantum mechanical property that challenged everything known about consciousness, space, and matter. Quantum jump sequence initiating, she announced, her voice cutting through the chaos. The prototypes. Quantum substrate began to resonate at frequencies that should have been impossible. Dimensional barriers began to shimmer and distort around the device. Incoming transmission, Arya shouted. The holographic display flickered, revealing the crystalline form of Krelax, the Zornak research director who had dismissed Elena's initial research. Cease your experiment immediately, his translated voice demanded. You are in violation of multiple galactic research protocols. Elena's response was a smile that spoke volumes. We're way past protocols. The quantum prototype reached critical resonance. Zarek's final systems check was interrupted by a quantum pulse that seemed to tear reality itself. Quantum jump imminent, she shouted. Miguel's neural interface overloaded, casting arcs of quantum energy across the command module. The quantum substrate pulsed with an inner light that defied physical laws. For a moment, just a moment, reality itself seemed to hold its breath. Then everything changed. The probe they had prepared for the quantum jump vanished from their sensors, but something else happened, something entirely unexpected. Quantum data streams began flooding their systems, information about regions of space never before observed, dimensional pathways that shouldn't exist, entire star systems that defied current understanding of astrophysics. The probe, Miguel gasped. It's not just traveled, it's returned. Outside, the sounds of battle suddenly went silent. Something extraordinary had just happened. Humanity had just changed everything. The first transmission arrived precisely 47 minutes after the quantum jump. It came through channels that should have been impossible. Quantum encrypted frequencies that bypassed every known communication protocol in the known galaxy. Holy shit, Miguel Rodriguez whispered, his neural interface struggling to process the incoming data streams. The Galactic News Network's primary broadcast hub erupted into chaos. Holographic displays across thousands of worlds simultaneously showed impossible images. Star systems never before mapped, dimensional pathways that defied known physics, and most shocking of all, a probe that had traversed thousands of light years. In a matter of moments, Elena Rodriguez watched the global reaction unfold from their hidden asteroid base. Arya Chen's augmented systems were tracking every communication channel, every political response, every scientific reaction. The transportation monopolies are collapsing, Arya announced, her voice a mixture of scientific excitement and pure disbelief. Interstellar Transportation Consortium stock prices have dropped 78% in the last 12 minutes. Zarek's 4 arms moved across multiple communication interceptors. Incoming diplomatic channels. Multiple species are demanding explanation. Threat assessments are being recalibrated across every major galactic government. The quantum jump had done more than just prove a scientific theory. It had fundamentally dismantled the existing galactic power structure. Krelax, the Zornak research director who had previously dismissed Elena's work, appeared on a priority communication channel. His crystalline form flickered with what could only be described as pure panic. Explanation required, his translated voice demanded. How is this possible? Elena's smile was nothing short of predatory. Scientific progress, she responded simply. The data from the quantum jump was unprecedented. The probe had not just traveled through space, it had mapped entire regions of the universe that had been theoretically impossible to observe. Dimensional pathways, quantum fluctuations, entire star systems that existed in states that challenged every known scientific understanding. They're trying to contain the information, Miguel said, tracking the desperate attempts by various governmental and corporate entities to suppress the quantum jump data. But it's too late. Arya's augmented systems were working overtime. The quantum substrate is continuing to transmit data. It's alive. Conscious almost. Political upheaval swept across multiple civilizations. Transportation companies that had monopolized interstellar travel for centuries were facing complete economic collapse. Isolated species suddenly found themselves potentially connected to a broader galactic community. We've done more than create a new transportation method, Elena realized. We've fundamentally altered the entire galactic power structure. Diplomatic channels exploded. Some species saw the technology as a potential threat, a way for other civilizations to instantly transport military forces. Others saw it as the ultimate democratization of space travel. Incoming transmission, Zarek announced. United Earth Government. A holographic display materialized, showing the United Earth Science Council. For the first time in human history, Earth wasn't just a marginal player. They were at the center of a scientific revolution that would reshape entire civilizations. The quantum jump data is unprecedented, the Earth Science Council representative said. We're receiving information about regions of space that challenge everything we thought we knew about the universe. Miguel's neural interface began to show something extraordinary. The quantum substrate wasn't just transmitting data, it was evolving, responding, learning. It's responding to human consciousness, he gasped. The quantum corridors, they're not just pathways, they're adaptive, alive. Arya's augmented systems confirmed his observation. The quantum substrate demonstrated a level of quantum coherence that was fundamentally different from any known scientific model. Elena realized they had discovered something far more profound than a new method of transportation. They had touched the fundamental nature of consciousness itself. Outside their hidden base, the sounds of approaching ships suggested their moment of scientific triumph would be short-lived. Corporate mercenaries, government strike teams, and rival scientific delegations were converging, but in this moment humanity had changed everything. The galaxy would never be the same again. The safe house was anything but safe. Buried deep within the crystalline core of an abandoned research station in the Orion Arm's furthest reaches, it bristled with quantum-encrypted defensive systems and more layers of protection than most planetary fortresses. Elena Rodriguez stood before a holographic display that tracked the cascading consequences of their quantum jump. Assassination contracts, research suppression attempts, diplomatic manipulations. The entire galaxy was trying to either control or destroy them. "They're getting closer," Miguel muttered, his neural interface casting diagnostic patterns across the room's walls. Blood vessels in his temples pulsed with an unnatural rhythm, a side effect of prolonged quantum exposure. "I'm tracking at least 17 different strike teams. Corporate mercenaries, government black ops, even independent contractor networks." Arya Chen's augmented systems worked overtime, her eyes flickering with quantum computational processes that would have melted a standard biological brain. "It's not just about the technology anymore," she announced. "We've become a symbol, something that threatens the entire existing galactic power structure." Zarak, the Centaurian military engineer, moved her forearms across multiple threat detection systems. Her prosthetic neural interface sparked intermittently, a testament to the extreme technological stress they were experiencing. Incoming. Encrypted communication channels. Multiple high-priority threat assessments being distributed across corporate and government networks. Elena's parents had warned her about this. Dr. Maria Rodriguez, once a brilliant xenobiological researcher, had been systematically discredited decades ago when her research threatened established scientific paradigms. Dr. Carlos Rodriguez had suffered similar persecution, his groundbreaking work buried and his reputation destroyed. "We need a more permanent solution," Elena declared, her voice cutting through the tension. The quantum substrate they had discovered was far more than just a transportation technology. It was responding to human consciousness in ways that defied every known scientific model. Each moment of exposure was teaching them something new, something fundamental about the nature of reality itself. Miguel's latest analysis revealed something extraordinary. "The substrate isn't just adaptive," he gasped. "It's learning, evolving. It's creating quantum pathways based on our emotional states, our intentions." A series of explosions rocked the outer defensive perimeter. The first wave of attackers had found them. "Quantum displacement protocols," Zarak announced, her multiple arms already implementing defensive strategies. "They won't get a clean fix on our location." The personal cost was becoming increasingly clear. Miguel's neural interface was showing signs of quantum stress that no human had ever survived. Arya's augmented systems were pushing technological limitations to their absolute breaking point. Zarak's prosthetic interfaces were becoming less stable with each passing hour. "We're not just fighting for our research," Elena realized. "We're fighting for every species that's been held back by these corporate and governmental systems." The holographic display showed the full extent of their impact. Transportation monopolies crumbling, isolated civilizations suddenly connected, scientific paradigms being rewritten in real time. "Incoming transmission," Zarak announced. "Priority 1, Galactic Collaborative Research Network." The crystalline form of Krelax, the Zornak research director who had originally dismissed Elena's work, materialized in the holographic display. "Surrender is your only option," his translated voice demanded. Elena's smile was nothing short of predatory. "No," she responded. "We're just getting started." Another explosion. Closer this time. Arya's systems picked up something extraordinary. The quantum substrate was creating defensive pathways, anticipating attacks before they could even be launched. It was learning, adapting, becoming something more than just a technological breakthrough. "We're changing everything," Miguel whispered, blood trickling from his nose. The safe house's defensive systems came online: quantum encrypted shield generators, adaptive camouflage systems, quantum tunneling escape routes. Every tool they had developed was now being put to the ultimate test. Outside, the sounds of battle grew closer. The real fight was about to begin. Humanity had just declared war on an entire galactic system that had kept species isolated and controlled for generations, and they were just getting started. The quantum corridor materialized like a living wound in the fabric of space-time, impossible, beautiful, and utterly terrifying. Around it, the assembled representatives of over 30 different galactic civilizations watched in absolute silence. Elena Rodriguez stood at the epicenter of humanity's greatest moment, her body still showing the scars of their impossible journey. Miguel, his neural interface now a permanent part of his biological systems, hung suspended between consciousness and quantum awareness. Arya Chen's augmented systems pulsed with an energy that defied standard computational models. Zarak's 4 arms moved with a precision that suggested she was more quantum phenomenon than biological entity. "This is more than a transportation method," Elena announced, her voice carrying across the massive holographic assembly. "This is a fundamental reimagining of how consciousness interacts with space-time." The quantum corridor began to stabilize, a pathway that could traverse thousands of light years in moments, created through a process that was part science, part human intention, and something entirely new. Krelax, the Zornak research director who had once dismissed humanity as irrelevant, now stood as a representative of a fundamental scientific transformation. His crystalline form reflected the quantum energies with an almost reverent shimmer. "The substrate is alive," Miguel whispered, his voice carrying through quantum-entangled communication channels. "It's not just responding to us, it's communicating." The data streams told an impossible story. The quantum jump had not just connected distant star systems, it had revealed entire regions of the universe that defied previous scientific understanding. Dimensional pathways that twisted through realities humans had only imagined in theoretical physics. Arya's augmented systems processed the incoming information. "We're receiving data from regions of space that shouldn't exist," she announced. "Quantum states that challenge everything we thought we knew about reality." The transportation monopolies that had controlled galactic movement for centuries had been completely dismantled. Isolated civilizations suddenly found themselves connected. Scientific paradigms were being rewritten in real time. "Humanity has done more than create a new technology," Elena declared. "We've opened a door to understanding the fundamental nature of consciousness itself." The quantum corridor began to pulse with an inner light, a living pathway that seemed to breathe with potential. Representatives from species that had once viewed humans as marginal now watched with a mixture of terror and absolute wonder. Zarak's threat detection systems showed something extraordinary. The quantum pathway was creating its own defensive mechanisms, anticipating potential threats before they could even be conceptualized. "It's adaptive," Miguel gasped. "The corridor isn't just a pathway, it's a living system that responds to consciousness." The United Earth Science Council representative stepped forward. For the first time in human history, Earth wasn't just a marginal player. They were at the center of a scientific revolution that would reshape entire civilizations. "This is more than a technological breakthrough," the representative announced. "This is an invitation to reimagine what's possible." The quantum substrate continued to evolve. Each moment of observation revealed new layers of complexity. It wasn't just a transportation method, it was a fundamental method of communication between consciousness and the universe itself. Arya's systems captured something extraordinary. The quantum corridor was creating connections between species, between consciousnesses, in ways that transcended standard communication methods. "We're not just connecting star systems," Elena realized. "We're connecting minds." The assembled representatives represented species that had been isolated for millennia, civilizations that had never had direct contact, now found themselves on the brink of a fundamental transformation. Miguel's neural interface began to show something unprecedented. The quantum substrate was creating pathways of understanding, breaking down linguistic, biological, and dimensional barriers. "This changes everything," he whispered. The quantum corridor pulsed with an energy that was part scientific marvel, part living consciousness. Humanity had done more than create a new technology. They had discovered a fundamental method of universal communication. Zarek's final systems check revealed the true extent of their breakthrough. "We're not just traveling through space," she announced. "We're learning to communicate with the universe itself." As the quantum corridor stabilized, something extraordinary happened. The representatives of different species began to understand each other, not through translation, but through a fundamental quantum connection that transcended language. Humanity had changed everything, and they were just getting started.